This success story will shock you. You're going to know why in a minute. But this client she shared her success story with me and asked me to share it with everyone else. For all of you who are worried about being in debt, for those of you who have been struggling with some kind of mental illness diagnosed to you, or you've been struggling somehow emotionally, I'm going to share this powerful success story that will shock you, that will help you see that all things are possible with God, with that higher self, with that universe, that power that is within all of us equally. No one has it any less or more. We are all one. Welcome. My name is Rose, and welcome to The Rosey Life, where we help you free your mind and follow your heart so we live a life that we love. Right? It's not just you, but all of us. We live a life that we love, right? So if you're interested in working one-on-one with me, you know what to do. Go to RoseyLife.com. Information's below. Or you can join the Rosey Life course and community, where we meet as a group and we have a private forum where you ask questions, share success stories. Something's always going on in there, right? And some of my success stories come from there, actually, that I share here. And then I answer live Q&A every single week, Wednesday, 12 p.m. Central. Okay, so this success story, right, she shared this with me last week, and I've been kind of like sitting on it for a moment because I wanted to take the golden nuggets out of it. And there's so much to her success story, and it's actually rather long, so I'm not going to read it because it is pretty long. But it's long with so many wonderful details and turns and dips and things that she actually experienced along the way to her manifestation. And what I want to start you off with is that this person was having a lot of different symptoms, emotional symptoms. Some of them were due to a personal surgery that she had that didn't go well, and she began to have panic attacks because of the outcome. Also, she was diagnosed at having different disorders and emotional disorders. And so there was a lot this person was going through mentally, emotionally, and financially. And she shared with me in detail the background story, but it was in her 3D, it was pretty bad. And like you're going to hear, the 3D was reflecting her state of mind unknowingly, that she had any power to move from this state and see a different outcome in her own life. And many of you know that I am a former psychotherapist. I no longer practice as a psychotherapist. I am a coach only now. And so I've seen many, many, many stories similar to this person's, and then some. And so for me to share this with you, I share it from so many different levels, from love as a coach, and it just, I always remind myself that anything is possible when I read these stories, because I worked with so many people and I diagnosed so many people, and I think back at so many people now that I think of lovingly in health, because there's really so many people that are suffering and unknowingly that they can move out of their state. And it will happen. They will come across the law, because the truth is not hidden from anyone. So seeing people, that is why I say I go back in my mind and think about the people that I worked with, and I see them healthy now, because it's never too late. All right, so let's get started with this story. It's so good, you guys. So what her success story is that she came off all of her psych medications, and she was on quite a few, and they were some heavy duty ones, because I recognized all of them, and they were heavy duty ones. And the doctor had this my client on several different medications for like 2 or 3 years, I believe. Not sure about the length of time. Might have been more, might have been a little less, but it was around a couple years. And they tried a lot of different medications with her to help her with her symptoms of anxiety, depression, and even at one point diagnosed bipolar, and having very severe shifts in mood, and she felt uncontrollable. And so they tried different medications on her, and but the doctors got to a point with her that they said, the doctor even suggested shock treatment on her, because they said because none of the medications were working. So they said, they even resorted to, well, we have basically all the meds that we can give you in our toolbox to prescribe you, and if they're not working, then the next step is to go to shock treatment. And she said this made her so sad and so disappointed, and she didn't want to feel this way. She didn't want to be feeling like she was crazy and feeling like something was wrong with her. She knew that something was not right. Do you see? That is the inner truth that we have. She knew something was not right, and she knew that she was healthy, and she just couldn't figure out how to get there at that time. And for someone to recommend shock therapy, that means that they're all out of options, right? Personally, when I was a therapist, a lot of doctors or psychiatrists who do the medication, psychiatrists usually don't do any talk therapy. They usually just prescribe medication and ask you a few questions, how was it going, and then move on, right? But in my experience professionally, if a medication didn't work, with a doctor or psychiatrist, they would suggest talk therapy, which is traditional counseling, because they can't physically find an issue wrong with the person and nothing works, so they turn to talk therapy. And I can't even tell you guys how many clients that I worked with that were diagnosed with brain tumors and seizures and so many different diagnoses medically, but nothing they did worked on them, and they got to a point that they couldn't even find it on the scans or the x-rays. Things were unexplainable, and they said there was nothing physically, medically wrong, so that something else must be causing the symptoms. Well, this is where this client must have got to for them to refer shock treatment instead of talk therapy. But who knows, maybe they suggested both, right? But they said because nothing was working. She said the 3D was reflecting my insecurity, my instability, and all my worst fears. So at this time, she was not she was not understanding the law, and I don't think she was even aware of it at this point. But she said definitely the 3D was showing her all her worst fears, okay? And in the law, you guys, it's really important that the law is the law and is impartial. It doesn't just work for the good stuff. It doesn't work just for good thoughts, good feelings, right? If you have a strong conviction of something, the law must work. For the law to be accurate and precise and perfect, the law must work on any belief that you have, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So there is no, like, it's not going to miss, you're not going to miss the mark. You'll miss the mark on what you want by believing that you can't have it, or believing in something else that you're like, it's probably not going to work, right? You have a stronger knowing or conviction about that, but it's an easy remedy. You just turn to persist on who you say you are, no matter what the conditions are, no matter what is happening in your life. You persist, and that law will work in the way that for what you want it, okay? So she said, when she was coming into the law, this is where she was at, that things were just not good for her. And she had a lot of student loan debt as well. And she said, my life, she said, I decided to start assuming to myself, declaring my life is magical. She's in the middle of being told to go get shock treatment. She's on medications. She's feeling every fear she can possibly face is being thrown in her face. She's in debt, and she's worried, scared, and she still decides to claim my life is magical. For all of you who are saying, but it's not. My life is like this. It's awful. The worst things are happening. You want me to go around saying my life is magical? Do you see? Yes. You declare what you want to experience. And if you're in the middle of something heavy, declaring what you want to experience is not delusional. It is you saying, I am no longer choosing this life for myself. You have to stand up and say, I don't choose this life for myself. I see that this is a potential. This is an option for me. That if I stay here and I keep thinking this way and I think I'm stuck and that someone has to save me, I'm going to remain there. But you have the power and free will to choose. With the power of God or the universe that's within you, you have the power of free will to declare and choose what you prefer instead, no matter what, no matter how bad you feel, no matter how bad circumstances are, no matter what you think that you've done, no matter if you thought you messed up, no matter if you think somebody wronged you, no matter what, that is turning your cheek. Instead of trying to solve it and trying to get into the weeds of it and trying to still go deeper and fix it, almost to the point of shocking you, right? Instead, she chose to declare, my life is magical. And she persisted there. She kept declaring this no matter what. She also said she stopped telling the old stories of herself as sick and not being able and that things weren't working. She said, I stopped telling myself those old stories to myself and to others. And she started pursuing joy. So I really love that she included that, because so many people that I've talked to, that they're having a difficult time for whatever reason in their life, and they feel like they can't be happy because they don't have what they want, or the things in their life aren't looking like the way that they would like them to be, and they kidnap their own joy and they put their own joy in happiness, and they stop enjoying life and stop wanting to be happy until that thing happens, right? She, in the middle of all that, pursued joy. In other words, she chose to put her awareness that she is joy. That joy is not outside of her. Her joy is not dependent on this happening or not happening. That she declared that she is joy. I pursued joy. I stopped telling myself that story, and I said my life is magical. Well, guess what happened, you guys? Well, the doctor did a follow-up with her, took her off all her meds, and because she didn't need them anymore. And the doc followed up with her, and he said, what happened? How are you in this mental state? How are you doing so well? What happened? She explained to him that she realized that she's in charge of her own thoughts, that she can think better or different thoughts, that she can teach herself to feel better by what she focuses on and what she tells herself, the story she chooses herself, that she was done being unhappy and looking for solutions to be happy. Instead, she embraced that she's happiness itself, that she is joy itself. And when she described all this to that doctor, he said, wow, you're doing better than I am. Imagine that, you guys. I'm telling you, this is a shocking success story, literally, right? Wow, you're doing better than I am. Do you see that? And when she was, and also she added on the success story, she said, at this time, she was declared incompetent and disabled. At this time, okay, like legally with the state and whatnot, she was declared incompetent and disabled. Look how far down the rabbit hole of ill and seeing herself as this sick person she went to be declared incompetent and disabled. But guess what? I want to read you this, Romans 8:28. To them that love God, all things work together for good. What happened? Even with this seemingly bad situation that she was in, incompetent, disabled, not able to work. So many things are happening in this person's life. What happened when she was declared incompetent, disabled? Her $40,000 of student loan debt were wiped out, gone, disappeared. She mentioned that it was because of her disability and because of her claiming incompetence, that's the cause. But that's not the cause. The cause of that student loan being wiped out is that nothing that even seems impossible and seems bad or seems like it's not working in your favor will, when you declare, and it says, to whom that love God. Okay, so you guys, I used to think that a scripture like this, because a lot of you guys know I was brought up in a really religious home, and when I turned 18, I joke and I say, when I left that house, I left that version of Jesus with my mom, and I left, and I'm like, I never wanted to go to church again, right? And I went wild and crazy and everything because it didn't feel right. I didn't like hearing scriptures like this, like to him that loved God. It's almost like a condition. I have to love God and behave and follow all the 10 commandments and not sin and not do any bad thing and go to church and be a good little Christian. And then if I do all that, then I get good stuff. That's how I would read this scripture, or how the church pastors would describe these things, not knowing that no, scriptures, like I've said in another video, have nothing to do with religion. Nothing to do with religion. It's man that has created books and religion and churches and temples and rules and tithing rules and all of these rules just to keep you thinking that you need that, and you don't need anything. You don't need anything. Okay, so why? Because you are God. God is within you. And if God is everywhere, that is within you. You and your Father are one. So what does this scripture really mean? To them that love God. Well, what is love? Let's get that one out of the way, because that's the answer. Love is always the answer to everything. Everything. You have a problem? Love it. You want to know how to fix something? Love it. What do I mean by that? It doesn't mean like it, oh my God, I'm going to pretend and feel so good about it. No. What does love really mean? First of all, love is God, and God is love. It's the same thing. All right? Love is unlimited power within us. So love is recognizing the unlimited power within us. So when to them that love God, in other words, to them that turn within, to that unlimited power that is within us, all things work together for good. But when you say, well, I've gone to church, I've done praying, and I've affirmed, and I've done it, you are setting your own conditions. God's not asking you to do it. The universe is not asking you to set in conditions. You're not being asked to do anything to get good stuff happen to you. Nope. But to those who turn within and see the truth of your unlimited power, that nothing can separate you from that love of God. Nothing can separate you from that power that is within you. That nothing can separate you when you go within and you see the truth of who you are. How do you see? Just assume it. Recognize it, because it's there whether you look at it or not. It's constantly there within you, and all you're doing is acknowledging it. And when you acknowledge it, even the seeming worst, most horrible things that you are thinking are bad and unbearable will be used for your good. Like this woman, $40,000 of student loan debt gone during this time where it looked like everything was going wrong. Even during that, it was being used for her benefit. Why? Because she decided to make the assumption that my life is magical no matter what. She stopped telling the old story of what was wrong and what was bad and what was missing and how it's not working. No, she pursued joy. She put all her awareness on love, that love of God. She put her awareness on love. Not on lack, not on what was missing, not on the problem, not on it's not working. She put her awareness on love. And during that time, even without her knowing, her debt was getting wiped out. She was no longer on meds. And the doctor is saying, wow, You're doing better than I am. I absolutely love this story, you guys, because truly that is what scriptures and mystical teachers and whatever kind of books you want to talk about, Wayne Dyer, Neville Goddard, Abraham Hicks, they all point to the same. It's like there are no obstacles. There are just your belief that there is an obstacle that can get in your own way, because no one is putting them there. You're putting the obstacles there. How? By believing them and insisting that there has to be a method or a condition for you to get what you want. So I intend this video inspires you that no matter what, it is working for your good. Thank you so much for liking the video, and thank you again for subscribing to The Rosey Life. And hey, we got 5,000 now. We're going over 5,000 on The Rosey Life. Thank you guys so much for sharing the videos and my content with others to put the word out and to help The Rosey Life just keep growing. And I just love it so much. And I appreciate you all so much for being here and for your love and support. Your comments are truly amazing, and I try my best to respond to each and every one of them with love, and because I know that if you took that moment to write it, that it means something to you, and it means something to me too then. All right, I love you guys again, and thank you, and you really are freaking amazing. Wow, look at this story. This is a reflection of the power within you. Everything is possible, you guys. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.